additional time or time served as part of their sentence in order to pay it out. So it's a much more appropriate place for that to be. General fund expenses, fire. To the fire union's credit very much, we agreed last year that the first workers' comp position in their department counts toward their 3 off per shift. That's really saved us on some overtime. So we very much appreciate them doing that for us. So we've reduced their overtime by about 15%. Planning and community development. This initiative has been something that the commissioners, the chamber, the city staff really want to see happen. Continue tearing down of the dilapidated structures that are blight on our neighborhoods. Broken spines, places where vagrants are in. The ordinance that you all approved earlier tonight is part of that as well, and we're continuing that effort with adding $100,000. And typically, we've only been able to do $30,000 to $60,000. So here we can do half or more of the houses that we normally do, and of course, we do much better in getting a price from a contractor when we bundle them together. City clerk's office. Normally not a lot going on in the city clerk's office. Sorry, Phyllis.
It's not a lot of money.
But this year, there's a big undertaking that the city clerk's office and the city attorney's office are going to have to do, and that's codification of our ordinances. By law. Yes, sir?
Repeat that.
Codification of our ordinances. It's an expensive endeavor. There are only 2 companies in the nation that do it. I've worked with both of them. I'll only recommend that we work with the one out of Tallahassee, Florida. And it's a huge undertaking for us. But they go through and they look at our ordinances to see if they're keeping up with case law in our state and in our nation. And we don't want to have ordinances on our books that aren't keeping up with the case law that the courts are putting out for us. So it's an important part of what we go through every 10 years. General fund expenses. City attorney has a new budget. We hadn't had that before. It was nestled away in the HR budget, and now it has its own. And again, this is a point at which I'd like to stop for a second and tell the City Commission, thank you for this. I think it's something that we've needed for a long time, and I can tell you that from our perspective, having an in-house attorney to help us get that cog in the wheel moving when we need something, and all we have to do is walk across the hall, is very much a plus for us. Just a quick summary of other funds. The Expo, $450,000 for salaries. SEDF, fully funded. Community service contracts funded at previous year levels. We're back up to that, whereas you can remember that we cut all those contracts in April of 2010 because we didn't have the revenues to do it with. Hotel motel, this is year 2 where we take our cut of the hotel motel tax and we're going out and auditing the hotels and motels in our community. To my knowledge, it's not ever been done. We hire Crawford to go out and do it. They take 3 or 4 a year. We'll just continue to rotate through all the hotels until each of them is audited. Most of them have all their stuff and they're ready for it when Crawford comes in. And then the cemetery fund, not something we talk a lot about, but we'd really like to get a new building built out there. Airport fund, we've been talking about airport every month, I think, for the last year because of all the great things that are going on out there. Not a whole lot of new stuff out there, except just to kind of give the commissioners an update that the new terminal is now complete. Friday afternoon, I went over to see the new digs after Rex invited me over there. It really, really is nice. Demolition currently will start next week, underway of the terminal. There's some asbestos and some things that have to be handled carefully in there, but next week it'll start. Taxiway project is about 75% complete. It's 75% complete. Next time you're out down Airport Road at night, take a look at those lights. It's impressive. And those who are aviators in our community won't be driving planes off the edge of the road because they'll be able to see where they're going. And tonight, you guys authorized us to bid out the runway project. Winding down. General Fund, 301 Capital. Just to kind of hit on some of the things that are in the General Fund budget. The third penny. Wayfinding, we've talked about that for several years. A new one in here is Police and Fire Joint Training Building. Comprehensive Fire Station Plan for fire, and we'll be doing some of that with police as well this year. and NFPA mandated hearing protection. There's a large section in there that the fire department's been asking for a couple of years that we're going to get to. The new cemetery office, fire suppression at the community center. Here's one that we've talked about that I'll let everybody know. The police have found a tool to assist with warrants and bad guys. And basically what this system is it goes through, and I saw a demonstration of it, where it can read tags, whether the car is going down the road opposite you, or you're driving down the road behind it, or it's sitting in a parking lot. And this system basically will have a database loaded into it, where when it takes a picture of your tag, it's going to know whether there's a warrant out for your arrest. In particular, that's what we want to use it for. Or if we're looking for a particular car, it can hit on that stuff, and it flashes a red light on the police officer's car to let them know that it's there. Now, unless we know what the bad guy drives, or what his tag number is, or we can see him through his tinted windows, we can't tell. But with this tag, this is a $20,000 tool, but it's something that we took a look at to try and combat our warrant situation.
Will that just be local?
No, I was
No.
getting ready to say that. I had a warrant issued
state
on one
database.
of my cases out of the district court here, and the gentleman who owed large sums of child support was picked up in Las Vegas, and
Yeah.
it works.
It does. There are many communities that are using it now. It's pricey, but it's something that we felt like, even though it was pricey, let's do it.
So our information will be entered into this national database, is that correct? Okay.
City Hall phone system replacement, not one of those that anybody really wants to spend money on, but it's probably 15 years old. We don't have enough lines. One of the things that we want to do is go to a voice over IP system where having Essex lines coming into the City Hall from AT&T won't be much of an issue. It's also an efficiency tool because folks will be able to get voicemail messages on their phones, in their emails, that type of thing, so that they won't necessarily have to be at their desk. And James has got significant money in there for playground upgrades. General Fund 302 capital. I guess the biggest story here is that we're not having to put cash monies away every year for the Kickapoo Street widening. So it allowed us to do a couple of things. We've applied for a grant through the state of Oklahoma for a streetscape project to continue to work on phase 2 of our downtown streetscape project. We're going to pair up some of this money with that grant and the TIF district funding and finish that project hopefully in the next, we hope we'll get the grant. Commissioners also approved recently bridge maintenance and repair projects, Beard Street, and then of course our usual rehab of concrete streets and asphalt streets. Here's something different that we've been talking about over the last couple of days that didn't go out into the city commissioners' packets. We've been financing all of these projects on a cash basis. And when you look at our capital improvement budget, you'll see cemetery, total cost $170,000. How much are we budgeting for it this year? $20,000, $40,000, $60,000. Wayfinding, it's a $250,000 project. We put $20,000 toward it, $40,000 toward it. We build up fund balance until we can afford to do it. So what was in your packets was to finance those capital projects out of the third penny on a cash basis. What we talked about over the last couple of days was to take out a short-term 3-year loan for $3 million and complete some of these projects. And if Steve will go to the next slide, these are some of the ones we're talking about doing. Expo parking and landscaping, library roof, wayfinding, the airport track, cemetery building, community center fire suppression, which is kind of new, but we want to be able to use that building fully, so we've got to put sprinkler system in it. Squad 1 apparatus is getting up there in age. We need to replace it. It's a pretty expensive endeavor. Of course, the City Hall phone system. So staff will probably be recommending at our June 20th meeting that we go out and try and finance some of these projects that we've continued to put money toward year after year. They're big projects, and when you've got a library roof that's $200,000 or $250,000, putting $50,000 toward it every year is not going to get it. So We don't want to completely restrict ourselves to financing more than we really can afford to, but I think 3 years for $3 million is a short-term shot in the arm to get some of these projects done that we've been sitting on for a number of years. Capital financing options. This is just basically a quick show of what the projects that were just on the previous slide and what that would do for us. And finally, SMA capital. Again, commissioners, we as a staff really appreciate the approval of the water rate increase. Again, I know it's difficult for our customers. We are doing some things, all the things that we financed over the last couple of years, just about complete, with the exception of the pumps and controls. And they'll be completed here shortly. All that money was money that we got at low interest loans, great terms, through OMRB, yes, OWRB, excuse me. Oh, I didn't remember that. What you see here in terms of capital is proactive, and the smiley face is up there because we like to do proactive things. We haven't done $500,000 in pipe bursting in many years, and we're going to do it on a cash basis. Just last fall, I got a call from DEQ when Jim Beard was out of town, and they said, we've got to have this project done by November. So we didn't have the money in the budget to do these pipe bursting projects. Water line replacement and looping, same situation. $1 million we're putting into maintenance and repair of our water and sewer distribution system because it's desperately needed to be done. We've been pulling money every year to try and get some of those done, but it's been on a $40,000 or a $60,000 incident basis, at max putting a couple $100,000 toward it. This will go a long way to doing that. And again, proactive, a master utility plan this year. The rate plan that commissioners approved was just a 5-year plan to get us basically from behind the 8 ball from years of not putting our money into our system that we should have. Again, we very much appreciate that. Sludge pond cleaning, sludge truck for land application, video inspection truck, airport lift station, and Northside wastewater treatment screw pumps. Those are all just a quick synopsis of what's going on in our funds. I covered that very quickly. We're certainly here for any questions. Tonight's really just a public hearing. There's still a couple of weeks before commissioners will adopt it. Sydney and I talked today about actually having another public hearing on our city commission agenda at the time which the commission adopts, so citizens will have another chance to speak, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.